Hey everyone, I'm Brent Skarkey from the State Chamber. It's an election year, and we're excited to kick off a brand new interview series on OklahomaDecides.com. The site, the best way to stay up to date with the latest candidate developments in our state. The State Chamber's Chad Warmington going one-on-one with statewide office candidates to give the business community and Oklahomans a great look at what the men and women who are running for office are all about. The interview does not constitute an endorsement from the State Chamber. It's just a place where they can be heard and voters can learn more.
We're excited to be here with Justin Hornback. Justin is a candidate for the Oklahoma Corporation Commission. I'll give a little brief bio and then we'll dig into it. Does that sound all right? And you can feel free to correct me on anything we get wrong too.
Right.
But so Justin is a Broken Arrow resident. He's got more than 2 decades of experience in the energy industry, including working as a pipeline welder, welding inspector, and safety and health professional. His firsthand industry experience and familiarity with the regulatory process have shaped his decision to run for the Oklahoma Corporation Commission. Thank you for being with us today.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Well, we're excited to hear from you, and I'm going to start out with a great, big, generic question that you ought to knock out of the park. So what's your vision for Oklahoma?
My vision is to have a regulatory body that works for Oklahoma, that people can trust and rely on, that is ready to go to work and do it safely and efficiently and make sure that everyone's a part of that process.
That's great. Do you, part of what is, in that vein, what's really spurred you to make that decision to run? And I love what you're saying about a regulatory environment that works for Oklahoma. You're preaching to the choir here. That's a music to our ears. But what's maybe one thing that really you said, hey, I know I could go make a difference in that specific area?
Well, throughout my career, especially in the pipeline industry, working with a lot of big projects like the Keystone XL or Dakota Access, you become very familiar that there is quite a distance between the people that make the decision and the actual industry that goes to work. And unfortunately, sometimes it doesn't work out the best. Keystone XL was a project that took 15 years for them to review and cancel and put back in and cancel, and it just showed a great disconnect. Here in Oklahoma, our Corporation Commission drives a policy for a lot of the public service, utilities, energy, pipeline, railroad, and I believe it's another spot that really needs that industry experience to understand how those policies impact companies.
Agree. I mean, you've been up close to it. You see it in action, and I think that's a really fantastic set of experience for somebody who wants to be in a regulatory role to be on the other side of having to deal with those regulations. So excited about that. You may have heard us talking a lot over the last 6 months or so about Oklahoma Competes. So for us, that's a new way that we're looking at our state's competitiveness regionally and nationally. Give me your thoughts on how this office that you're running for would contribute to Oklahoma's long-term economic competitiveness.
Well, regulation, it either prevents growth and opportunity or it encourages it. But it's always a fine line. People want to make sure that you are regulating to ensure the safety of everybody, the safety of the state, our resources, and what goes into it. To not know how those decisions impact not only the safety but the business, it really is important to understand that we can make common sense regulation that works for business and still keeps people safe.
Yeah, no, I love that. I think Oklahoma is particularly more attuned to that we can do. And I look at the oil and gas industry that you've worked in. I tell people from all over the country, come to Oklahoma, see how we do regulation. We do it pretty well, yep. And we got a pretty clean environment for being, an oil and gas industry state. We've done a really good job of that, and I love that that's part of, your charge is to lean into that regulatory framework that works both for the business and works for protecting consumers and Oklahomans and the environment. You can balance those things, right?
Absolutely. The hardest thing for a business is coming in, knowing the law, but not knowing how it's going to be interpreted, and coming to find out that you've invested time and money into an interpretation that doesn't allow for you to continue, or especially when you have investors that are looking for you to know the outcome before it happens.
That's right. we say a lot up at the Capitol, and our team says that businesses crave certainty and consistency, right? To your point, I kind of heard what I was hearing you say is, if you're going to tell me what the rules are, I'll go follow them and apply them, and I will be within them. But if you change them up on me, that's when everything kind of falls off the track. So you have examples of that maybe has spurred you to run, or you've seen where there's a regulatory environment that's changed after you thought you already understood how the rules of the game were supposed to work?
Well, I mean, I already brought it up, but Keystone XL was a huge one. I got started with that back when it first announced, and this was a 15-year adventure, we'll say, of permitting and commission meetings and permitting meetings to find out that no matter how many hoops you jump through, no matter how many safety guidelines you adhere to, it came down to a political issue of who was in office, because day one Trump reinstated that. We got started. The project was getting started, and then day one of the next president, that was canceled. People were out of work, and nothing changed. Yeah. There was no difference from day one to the last day. So understanding that politics plays such a big game, and just to see it, very saddening to see that politics is so far removed from common sense.
Yeah. This question kind of dovetails into that. So from the perspective of the office that you're running for in terms of the Corporation Commission, and really want to get to your perspective on what you'll bring to that office is, how do you define free enterprise, and where should government draw the line between setting fair rules or getting in the way of free markets?
Oh, well, I mean, that's a very tough question. It's important to not overregulate yourself where no one can move, but you have to ensure that safety is still your priority, because so many times we see examples of going headfirst into a situation, not knowing the negatives and trying to work our way out of it. And to make sure we're bringing everyone together to really fully dive into what's going to happen, even when it comes to lawmakers that make the laws, to policymakers, to the communities that are going to be affected by the decisions made here at the Capitol. It's important to have that conversation up front. And unfortunately, I talk about communication a lot because I've seen a lack of communication when it comes to the corporation commissioners, the legislators passing the laws, passing bills, and the communities. And for those disconnects to be there, it's very sad, because Oklahoma works best together when we all work together. Yeah.
Let me kind of probe you a little bit again, and kind of maybe your personal perspective. When I say, how do you define, what does free enterprise mean to you?
Well, I think it's letting the people decide with their money what is the best way of going about things. I mean, if you take a look specifically at the electric car industry, there's a lot of people for it, a lot of people against it. It really comes down to let people make their own money. Or let's get into energy. I have nothing against wind energy. However, for however long we've had the federal government stepping in and paying taxpayer money subsidies to wind energy, and I think that free enterprise should be able to compete at equal level. So putting one on a pedestal and ignoring another is not the right way of going about it.
Yeah, that'll be your philosophy as you're working through, decisions that are going to, almost every decision you'll make at the Corporation Commission is going to impact a business on the other side. So that's going to be your core philosophy is finding that balance.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, that's great. Tell me a little bit about, maybe more specific to the commission, what systematic changes do you think you would make to the Corporation Commission to improve efficiencies and make sure permits are issued quickly? Do you have specific thoughts on how you would do that?
A lot of the issues are being addressed, and I participated in, I didn't participate, I was there for the interim study with the OCC and the House, going over efficiencies that they have put in place, and I applaud them for the changes that they have made. I've been very vocal about being more efficient and including people in that process. But when you talk about the cases, it's still like any court system or any kind of politics, it takes a little bit of time. If we can cut through to ensure that the timelines are expedited, that would be great, and to ensure that we have the people in place to hear any issues, any cases that come before the Corporation Commission. One big issue they brought up is continuances. Both parties would have an issue that they wanted to resolve quickly, but they would continue and continue and continue just to kick that down the road, which that doesn't help anyone.
Yeah.
Let's give people an answer right away.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up, and I know that's been a big issue. The commission is this kind of the legal back and forth. The rules are set up to really allow it to get slowed down really unnecessarily, and so you've got to find the balance between having the right to have a protest and have those issues aired out, but also not having it being used as a weapon. Right. And so you feel like they're making progress, or do you still think there's some tweaks that you'd like to see that you'd be bringing to the table?
There's always tweaks that we can make, and there's always changes that should be made. Bringing legislature and the commissioners together to find out where those can be changed to still protect people would be the best. But yeah, it's we see it on the pipeline side all the time with permitting, people utilizing that legal system to slow down a project. Like I said, Keystone XL was 15 years almost. Slow down a project to the point where investors are dropping out.
Yeah.
And so you attack them with money, you attack them with time, which again, if you're going to do it, let's do it, and if you're not, let's be upfront right away.
Yeah. I know one of the big issues that you're going to have to deal with as a corporation commissioner is, how do we navigate this really huge growing demand for energy? And so kind of the question I have for you is how are you going to balance, the affordability of that energy with the need to get more energy produced in this state so we can really use it for economic development? Tell me about what that balance looks like for you.
Well, it's about getting everybody together and just ensuring everyone has a seat at the table to bring their ideas. We have the study on nuclear energy going forward. You have oil and natural gas that's always been working together with Oklahoma. We have the ability, and we've continued to show here in America that we have the ability to tap into our cheap, abundant energy and continue, because that is the most important, not only for business or in our way of life, but for our national security. It's all about cheap, abundant energy, and we need to continue and make sure that we have the best possible way.
Yeah, I think the challenge is going to be for you as a commissioner is the regulatory scheme, which we've talked about. Is it going to slow us down that we're going to lose out on opportunities? But you also have to balance, and that's your job as well, is the affordability of that. Who's going to pay for it? The ratepayer is going to pay for it. It's a tough balancing act. So I think I guess I'm asking, are you looking forward to that debate and being a part of that? Because it's a really big opportunity for Oklahoma.
I look forward to it because so often we don't get the conversation. We are just told what happens. And so I greatly look forward to having conversations. That's what it should be about. That's what politics and Oklahoma should be about, is getting everyone to be a part of that, to understand why these decisions are being made, and to be a part of the process and progress. Yeah, it's important.
We're sure appreciative of you running. I think one of the goals we have with all these interviews is getting folks to understand, one, how incredibly important these positions are, for one, and two, specific to the Corporation Commission. I mean, you touch a huge portion of Oklahoma's industries with the regulatory decisions that you're going to make there. It's a very powerful agency that is probably misunderstood. So kind of in a wrap up, given that it's this kind of esoteric and people don't really understand it, I mean, why are you doing this? I mean, what you woke up and you're like, by golly, I'm going to go do this. Just kind of end with, what motivates you every day when you get in the truck and you're balancing working and campaigning. What keeps you going on the campaign trail? Why are you so excited to engage in this election?
Well, I mean, as you get through these interviews and you talk to people, you'll hear every candidate talk about how their personal real-world experience will help make the right decisions. When you talk about, say, state superintendent, they'll tell you how important that education and background in education is. Our auditor's going to tell you accounting and numbers is important. And the disconnect that we've had in Oklahoma is our regulators don't usually come from the industry, that they don't have that hands-on experience. So to be able to draw from personal experience and to know the players and know the people to rely on to bring the best information before making those decisions, before putting that policy in place is really important. And I think that's, as the only candidate with the real world experience, I think that's what I want to bring to the commission. We've had quite a few politicians that have wound up in the Corporation Commission and that understand the laws. But to bring that industry voice in there, the voice that understands what the ratepayers are going through, bring a fresh perspective to it. That's what really pushes me to do this.
Well, we love it when good people stand up and are willing to put themselves on the line, put their name on the ballot, and willing to serve. And so appreciate your call to public service, and thank you for spending some time with us today.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.